Thank you for coming into the sunshine. And thank you all for being here. I'm Valerie Cooney, and I'm Vice President Academic and Provost here at UVic. I am so pleased to welcome you all to today's event. I want to begin our gathering by acknowledging with respect the history and the customs and the culture of the Coast Salish and Strait Salish people on whose territory we are meeting at this very moment. It's a beautiful summer day moment. And we've come to also recognize and to celebrate a beautiful addition to our campus. So I'm very pleased to begin this afternoon by inviting to the microphone our President and Vice Chancellor, Jamie Castles.
Thank you, Valerie, and welcome everybody. What an awesome day to celebrate the official opening of UVic's Rainbow Crosswalk. Our university strives, aims, and promises to be the most welcoming and inclusive community possible. A learning community can only thrive if we value and respect differences amongst people. And this being Victoria Pride Week, this is a great opportunity to honor and acknowledge differences across gender, differences across sexuality, and differences in identity. And what better way to make that statement and remind ourselves of those commitments than this great new addition to our beautiful campus. I want to thank the people in the Provost's office, Valerie and Grace Wong-Snedden, who championed this initiative. They did that with advice and wisdom and support from across the campus, advice and support from UVic Pride, from the Positive Space Network, from campus planning, from sustainability planning, from campus security, from communications, and with great support from UVic facilities as well. So a great team effort, and also an opportunity to involve as wide a number of people across campus in this creation as possible. So I'm really looking forward to the final and official opening so that we can all walk across it every day. This is the busiest crosswalk on our campus. So the number of people who are going to be seeing this and who are going to be reminded is huge, and I think that is thrilling. So thank you all for coming, thank you for supporting this, and I look forward to walking with you across that great crosswalk. Thanks, Valerie.
Thank you, Jamie. Now I'd like you to welcome, please, Jillian Cornwall. Jillian is an executive member of UVic's Positive Space Network, a group of students, for those of you who don't know, students, faculty, staff, and alumni who make UVic a safer and a more inclusive place for everyone. So welcome to Jillian.
Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you again for standing out in the blazing sun. First of all, I just wanted to note that I was at a Pride event yesterday and I thought I couldn't really see Valerie and Jamie up here without any Pride swag. So Valerie? And this is for Jamie, in case you need to. We're gonna start a band after, maybe. So, with that being said, I am going to use my notes because I want to be very careful with my words, because I know how many people's hearts and bodies and minds and souls have been working for Pride issues throughout decades. So please excuse me if I use my notes. I speak with gratitude for the strength, bravery, and knowledge of the elders and the people of this land. I am not of this place, and I am standing, speaking my truth on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples. Thank you. Rainbows are a reflection of sunlight through raindrops. When white light enters a raindrop, the different wavelength colors bend at slightly different angles. So we each find our path when a light is held up for us in dark or difficult times. We are enabled to walk our unique paths, following our hearts and minds on our voyages of personal discovery. The Pride crosswalk is complete. The lines are painted and they stretch from one side to the other. This represents the path we walk. This particular crosswalk represents the original 8-color Pride flag, which was designed by Gilbert Baker in San Francisco in 1978. And the pink was only really taken off it because they didn't have any pink flag fabric in San Francisco in 1978. And the pink harkens back to our community because of the pink triangles forced upon, and this is a weird collection of people, especially when we think of it now. Homosexuals, rapists, and pedophiles in concentration camps in World War II. Baker added it to represent sexuality. Please take time to investigate the history of this iconic symbol for the Pride community. So the weight of oppression may grow heavy at times, but lay your burden down here, for it was never your fear nor your shame to carry. Story by story, you will be heard and acknowledged, and we will heal together. On this, our path of pride, I see opportunity for acknowledgement, recognition, and healing so we can go forward together in wellness with good hearts. This path represents our journey as a community. We are many beautiful different threads, and woven together we can make strong cloth. Take time to listen to our campus changemakers. Do not see them as troublemakers if their stories discomfort you. Be brave and ask questions. Listening may be one of the greatest acts of healing you will ever perform. Each time you cross here, remember those who have worked for equity, diversity, and inclusion, and that our work continues until everyone is walking this as a path of love rather than a path of fear. And I'd like to do some thank yous and a little bit of the people who've helped me over the 20 years I've been here. I am grateful to Grace Wong-Snedden, whose tireless determination has set a bar to which I can only hope to aspire, and without whom this crosswalk would not exist. To Marilyn Casero, who emailed Grace in August of 2014 saying, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could have a rainbow crosswalk on campus? We're 11 months, it's actually not bad, I think, for, you know. To President Jamie Castles, whose kindness and sincerity and strength of conviction has rekindled my belief in UVic as a place to be yourself, to grow, and to stand tall in the knowledge of who we are. To Cindy Player and the EQHR team, who have been the glue and the heart of the Positive Space Network over the years. To all of the members of UVic Pride, who've done so much to support our students. To Erin DeVore and all those involved with the Transgendered Archives, and Annalie Lepp, who has served on countless committees and raised her voice for positive change. To Maureen Bradley, whose impeccable film work has raised awareness and warmed hearts. To two people who are no longer here with us, Michelle Peugeot and Alexandria Tucker, voices gone too soon. Also, great thanks to our community partner, Victoria Pride, with a special nod to Terry Froud and David Tilson, whose decades of work have changed the face of Pride in Victoria. Thank you to everyone who participates in our community and works towards equity, diversity, and inclusion. In closing, I ask you for 3 things. Remember, be present, and aspire. Our best bet has always been to start, stay, and finish with kindness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jillian. Well said. At this point, I'd like to invite to the podium Kat Palmatier, who would like to speak briefly on behalf of the Pride Collective.
Hi everyone, my name is Kat. I'm a Women's Studies major and a Social Justice Studies minor here at UVic. I work on campus and practice community here as well. When I found out about the Rainbow Walk being something the university wanted to do, I was upset, As a very active campus voice and presence, and as a queer person, I felt like my voice was not heard on this matter. The university did not seek input from a lot of us as queer and trans students, so they're allowing me to speak to this now. There are many issues I see with the painting of this rainbow walk. Firstly, I've seen everything rainbowed recently. People have been giving a rally cry of happiness from the decision to legalize gay marriage in the States. This happened while simultaneously a trans woman was kicked out of the audience of an LGBTQ talk by President Obama because she made it known that trans bodies are still being slaughtered, being silenced, being detained, and being violated. I felt this rainbow walk is doing a similar thing, proudly declaring pride without doing the work of addressing massive issues around violence of queer people. When I see rainbows recently, I see it as a sign of danger. As a queer person, rainbows everywhere to me mean that people think our work is over and that human rights are met. This is not true. I believe in living out anti-oppressive practice as much as possible. Seeing this rainbow here at UVic is really upsetting to me because UVic has a history of often negating the needs, rights of trans and queer bodies. This rainbow tells incoming LGBTQ students that UVic is safe for them, that UVic accepts them and celebrates them. This also, sadly, is not true. In fact, UVic has no specific policies to protect trans students who have had their accessibility needs left unmet by unwilling profs. Departments are known to not support students in their transitioning and often call students by their dead names, the names they were given at birth and no longer use. Pronouns are often ignored or not respected both in and out of classrooms. There is still a ton of misgendering happening in UVic departments that should know better. When someone misgenders someone and uses a wrong pronoun, it is an act of violence and erasure. When an institution decides to paint a rainbow in solidarity of the LGBTQ community without checking in with a lot of this community about how they feel, this equals more violence and erasure. This action to put the rainbow-colored paint across my back and the backs of other queer students rather than under our feet. I would hope that this sidewalk is the first of many steps to address these issues on campus, even though it should have been the last step since rainbows come after the storm. I feel like everything going on in Canada and the US, marginalized people such as queers who are racialized, disabled, Indigenous, impoverished are being ignored. This rainbow represents the unaddressed pain and violence queers face every day. Rather than listening, I feel like the paint has been slathered over my pain and sends the message that my voice is not important. It's not cool, it's dismissive, erasive, silencing, and violent. Rather than addressing real issues, this institution is only hiding the voices of marginalized folks by rainbow washing their concerns without doing anything to address these issues. I would love to have a day where I could proudly walk across this crosswalk, but today is not that day. There is so much work that needs to come first. I only hope that those who are engaged in deciding to paint this take actual steps to address violence against queer bodies both on and off campus. Some of the ways to do this are advocating on behalf of queer bodies that are subject to police and campus security, scrutiny, and violence, changing a binary gender culture on campus by allowing students to have their proper pronouns on all UVic documents and making this process accessible for those who need it, engaging with the LGBTQ community before making choices on behalf of us, unlearning the ways in which institutional violence is perpetrated, amplifying the voices of marginalized bodies rather than speaking for them, following up on complaints brought forward by UVic LGBTQ community, creating explicit policy around addressing violence that trans and queer folks face on campus from both staff, students, and faculty, acknowledge the violence, harassment, and abuse faced by queer folks every day, and finally, taking steps to acknowledge that this rainbow washing is not a sign of solidarity, but of silence, then take the above steps to work towards correcting it. Thank you.
I'm a queer and trans student here on campus, and I wear this bandana to erase my face like many of my sisters and brothers in the trans community have been erased. This crosswalk is a welcoming icon to queer students, but with the lack of real support systems, counseling services, heteronormative pedagogy, course content, cisnormative toilet and change room facilities, binary cisnormative programs, assigned names read out in class, assigned sex conflated with gender, our sexuality or asexuality made other by the naturalization of heterosexuality, sex promoted as dimorphic, rendering intersex persons such as myself invisible, lack of queer scholarships, and a politically inactive voice of change on this campus. Ultimately, the crosswalk is painted across the backs of still suffering and marginalized queers. This crosswalk is the university's beard. It is the university's fag hag. It disguises the lived experiences of those of us who attend and have attended this university. Then what does this rainbow crosswalk really represent is a false sense of security to queer persons on campus, and this is dangerous, and it is violence against the queer community. Rainbows come after the storm.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you to your colleagues as well for sharing your views. It's important, I think, in my role, I have several priorities at UVic, and one of those priorities is to make this as supportive a campus and inclusive a campus as possible for all those who want to be on this space. And so while I think the crosswalk is a symbol of UVic's commitment to all that is necessary to make us as inclusive an environment as possible, it is certainly the case that it is not enough. And it is not all that we need to think about, reflect on, and potentially do to make this a warm and welcoming place for all who want to be here. So thank you for the reminder that this is a symbol, but it's not everything. And now I think that it is officially time for us to open this crosswalk. I think Jamie and Jillian, you're going to make your way to the crosswalk, and I think that Aaron is going to join along with Bronte and Katrina. And if I could turn your attention in that direction, there is a ribbon planning to be cut.